Lawrence Quinn was a name not many recognized on the street, and that was exactly how he liked it. Though his name didn't ring bells in flashy boardrooms or hang over corporate towers in Times Square, his signature quietly sat on the deeds of over a dozen successful businesses across the Midwest. Lawrence wasn't loud about his success. He had made his fortune through slow, calculated investments, patient property acquisitions, and stakes in companies that most people wouldn't even notice. Waste management, medical logistics, agri-tech, you name it. Where others saw boredom, he saw opportunity. But while Lawrence Quinn had built a financial empire over 5 decades, he still wore the same olive green field jacket from 20 years ago and drove a sensible, aging sedan that hummed like a tired but loyal friend. At 71, Lawrence lived alone in a quiet bungalow on the outskirts of town. He never remarried after his wife passed, had no children to impress, and preferred the company of silence over any social gathering. His pleasures were modest: a good newspaper, a warm cup of tea, and a walk through the neighborhood park just before sundown. But as winter approached that year, Lawrence decided it was finally time to replace his car. It had served him faithfully for nearly 11 years, but even he had to admit the heater barely worked anymore, and the brakes made a noise that suggested retirement was imminent. He didn't want anything flashy, just something safe, smooth, and efficient. He had done his research, quietly reading consumer reports, watching video reviews, even calling an old friend who worked in auto supply logistics. Eventually, he set his heart on a new model from a local luxury dealership downtown, the Monarch Vitesse, a mid-sized sedan that was elegant without being obnoxious. Comfortable, durable, quiet. It was everything Lawrence valued. So one Tuesday afternoon, after raking leaves and changing into a simple sweater and jeans, he drove down to the dealership. The place was called Hawthorne Motors, an architectural showroom of glass and polished steel that gleamed under the gray November sky. Inside, the lights shimmered off dozens of spotless vehicles arranged like sculptures in a modern art gallery. The floor tiles clicked beneath Lawrence's worn shoes as he stepped in, hands in his jacket pockets, eyes taking in the refined beauty of machines built with precision. A tall, blonde salesman in a tailored suit glanced his way briefly, but then returned to his phone. A younger employee in a crimson vest nodded as he passed by, but didn't stop. Lawrence kept walking. For nearly 20 minutes, he moved from car to car, admiring the design, occasionally crouching to inspect the tires or run his hand along the curves of the paint. He spent a good 5 minutes beside the Vitesse, sitting inside, testing the seat adjustment, reading the dashboard layout. No one approached him. The dealership was busy, yes, but not overwhelmed. A young couple nearby was being shown an SUV, laughing with a salesman who grinned too widely. A man in a business suit sipped complimentary espresso while negotiating loudly over the price of a convertible. Lawrence, meanwhile, continued to wait. Eventually, he made his way to the main counter. 3 employees stood chatting near a computer, 2 salesmen, and 1 assistant manager, based on their name tags. Lawrence offered a polite smile. "Good afternoon," he said gently. "I was hoping to ask someone about the Vitesse. I'm interested in learning more." The man behind the desk chase, his name tag, Reed, barely glanced up. "We're kind of busy right now, sir," he said, not unkindly, but not kindly either. "Maybe come back tomorrow?" Lawrence blinked, surprised. "Oh," he said. "All right. I suppose I can." As he turned to leave, one of the other employees mumbled something under his breath and chuckled. "Old man probably just wants to sit in the cars for warmth," he said, too low for most people to hear. But Lawrence heard it. His back stiffened. He didn't turn around. He didn't say a word. He walked out slowly, stepped back in his car, and drove home in silence. That night, Lawrence sat in his kitchen with a mug of chamomile, tea cooling beside him. He opened his leather-bound notepad, the same one he'd used for years to jot down thoughts, investment ideas, and notes about people. He scribbled one line: "Hawthorne Motors, Tuesday, for 22 p.m. Dismissive, arrogant, judgmental." Then he opened his laptop and made 2 phone calls. The first was to a real estate attorney in Chicago. The second was to a contact at a regional holding company that specialized in distressed or transitional assets, particularly those with underperforming management. By midnight, Lawrence had authorized the necessary funds. He had not only placed a bid, but structured a buyout proposal for the majority ownership of Hawthorne Motors. The parent company, as it turned out, had been looking to divest from the local branch for months. By the next morning, the deal was confirmed. At exactly 9:04 a.m., Lawrence returned to Hawthorne Motors. This time, he wore the same jacket, same jeans, same humble shoes. But in his hand, he carried a leather portfolio. As he entered the showroom, several staff recognized him, but quickly dismissed him again until a tall man in a navy blazer hurried over. His name was Derek Monroe, the general manager. He extended his hand, smile too wide to be real. "Sir, good morning. Welcome to Hawthorne Motors," Derek said. "How can we help you today?" Lawrence handed him the portfolio. "You can start by reviewing those documents," he said calmly. Derek opened the folder, and for a moment, confusion clouded his face. Then realization hit. His mouth opened slightly, then closed. He swallowed. Twice. These are ownership documents." "That's right," Lawrence said. "As of this morning, I'm the new majority owner of Hawthorne Motors." The air in the showroom shifted. One by one, heads turned. The man who had wandered unnoticed the day before now stood at the center of their universe. Derek tried to recover. I wasn't informed." "You are now," Lawrence interrupted, still quiet. "Please gather the staff." In less than 5 minutes, every salesperson, manager, and assistant was assembled on the showroom floor. Lawrence stood before them, hands still in his pockets. "Yesterday," he began, "I came here intending to buy a car. I wasn't dressed in a tailored suit. I didn't arrive in a Bentley or drop names of powerful friends. I walked in quietly, respectfully, and I waited. No one came." He paused. The silence was pin drop. I was ignored, laughed at, dismissed, not because of my words or my attitude, but because of how I looked. Several staff members shifted uncomfortably. One of the young salesmen looked visibly pale. "That tells me everything I need to know about how this dealership treats people who don't look like money. That ends today." He turned toward the 3 employees he remembered most clearly: Chase, the man at the desk, and 2 others who had mocked him. "You're all terminated immediately. Security will escort you out. Your behavior was unacceptable, and it will not define this dealership moving forward." Gasps filled the air. Chase stammered, But you can't." "I just did," Lawrence replied. Then he turned back to the others. "The rest of you have a choice. Stay, and we build something better. Or leave now, and make room for those who understand that everyone who walks through those doors deserves respect." By the end of the week, 10 new hires had joined the dealership. Lawrence personally interviewed each one. He promoted the receptionist, an older woman named Clara, who had always treated customers kind-like head of customer service. He hired 2 veterans, one of whom had been working as a janitor at another dealership. He brought in a young woman who had once been rejected because she didn't have the right look for luxury sales. Under his guidance, the culture shifted dramatically. In the first quarter after the transition, sales at Hawthorne Motors rose by 28%. Online reviews improved. Local press took notice. Customers who once felt unwelcome returned. Lawrence instituted a no-assumption policy. Staff were trained to approach everyone with equal courtesy, regardless of their appearance. And Lawrence? He never bought the Vitesse. Instead, he drove his old car to work each day, parked it in the back, and sipped tea from a thermos while observing his team with quiet satisfaction. The dealership had changed, not just on paper, but in spirit. And it all started because one man decided that respect shouldn't be earned through wealth, but given freely as a matter of principle. Lawrence Quinn never raised his voice. He never needed to. But the justice he delivered echoed louder than any shout ever could.